Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 2021 Celebration of Hope. I hope you had the opportunity to follow along with us throughout the week with our email and our event website. This year, our theme is good company. When men, women, and children come through the missions doors, they're surrounded by people who care and understand what they're going through. And in this way, they're in good company. And like a guest in someone's home, our residents are good company too, because they don't stay forever. Using the tools they receive at the mission, they move on to build better lives through self-sustaining jobs, addiction recovery and mental wellness, more permanent housing, and better relationships. That's what your gifts do. So tonight, let me tell you about what we have in store. First, we'll be hearing from Brian. He graduated from the Missions Recovery Program. After years on the streets, he coded twice from a drug overdose. Brian could easily have died. But when he lived, the Lord got his attention. Tonight, find out how your gifts saved Brian's life and answered his family's desperate prayers. Then we'll meet the mission's new Chief Executive Officer, Pam Stegora Axberg. We will also be hearing from the Vice President of Development, Chuck Semrow, who will tell us how we can partner with the mission to provide food, shelter, and more for hungry and broken neighbors. Finally, you'll be treated to a free concert by Christian recording artist Ross King, who will share his song, Good Company, along with many more. As someone who's faced brokenness himself, you'll enjoy Ross's down-home style and his inspiring songs. As you watch tonight, please give your most generous gifts so the mission can continue to provide meals, care, and second chances to men, women, and children. Just $1.96 provides a meal and care. And tonight, anything you give will be matched up to $75,000. Those are gifts that impact people like Brian. Let's watch.
My name is Brian Jones, 50 years old, born in Chicago, raised in Muskegon, Michigan. Transferred here, or transitioned here, I should say, September 16th, 2019. Well, at 17, I joined the Navy shortly before my 18th birthday. I started off going to corpsman school to be a hospital corpsman and a medic, but I flunked out because I was studying listening to headphones. So there I was shipped off to California, where I was, introduced to crack cocaine. Well, I got discharged in July of 1989. I went to jail for my very first time in October. And I continued going to jail or prison every year till probably 2017. From that point, from 1989 to 2017, I had yet to be on the street 12 months consecutively ever. But God. I was living on the streets of Detroit, Michigan, and I was an active crack addict. And I was a recreational heroin user. And I was starting to frequent it even more. So it got a $10 bag and I shot it. And the next thing you know, there was a paramedic telling me, if you don't listen to the doctors, you're going to jail, because I was on probation violation. I stopped breathing again. So there was 2 times in one night that the Lord said, not yet. I know for a fact that I was dead. So I can't say that was the closest thing to death. I was dead. I was flatlined twice. My cousin, who is an alumni of Christ Recovery Center, and he speaks very highly of Union Gospel Mission and saved his life. He's a 25-year plus alum, and he's still sober this day, 68 years old. He helped me by way of contacting my second oldest brother, and they got me a bus ticket, actually a train ticket. And he connected with the director of Christ Recovery Center, and I was given a bed. I did the interview with the director, and he asked me, was I willing to do anything to stay sober. I figured that I would just get clean off drugs, and I have this same mentality that I had in Michigan, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen like that. You know, I don't know where in this process that the phenomenon of cravings left my body, but when I was able to sit in a circle at the Christ Recovery Center and hear somebody else's story, I was able to identify my selfishness, which is the root of my problem, because it's not drugs. My root is selfishness. And once I was able to identify that, I was able to work on it. So now where I'm at today is God, others, then Brian. And then in that sequence, God makes sure I'm all right. I look to God, I trust him. I'm more patient, I'm more at peace. I've never been more at peace ever in my life than these last 18 months. March 16th was March 11th was my 18 months of sobriety. Since then, I have got reacquainted with my fiance that I'm looking to get married next month. I have a full-time job. This is the first job I've had longer than 6 months. And I'm grateful. You know, I thought I loved people. I thought I loved my mom. I thought I loved my kids. But once I found out that I cannot love them until I start loving myself, then I was able to start loving them. For a person that doesn't know about the Union Gospel Mission, I believe it's the best kept secret on the planet. Through God, it saved my life. Because for one, I know that when I got here, I had a mentality that I was gonna bring Brian into this. But once I gave in and had an open mind and had on my hearers instead of listening to what I heard, but hearing what I heard and listening and hearing and listening and combining that, it's brought a whole new way of thinking. I don't think the same. People who give themselves an opportunity to bask in the process what the Union Gospel Mission has to offer, you won't think the same.
Hello and good evening. I'm Pam Stegora Axberg, the new CEO of Union Gospel Mission Twin Cities. We're so excited that you are joining us for our 2021 Celebration of Hope, Good Company. To protect you, our residents and our staff, we have decided to host this event virtually. I hope you have had a chance to enjoy this week's online stories and testimonials. Tonight, you're in for a real treat. Artist Ross King will be our featured musical guest, who will perform several pieces of his work, including his song, Good Company, which is the theme of this year's Celebration of Hope. More about that in just a minute. Some of you have been donors, volunteers, or friends of Union Gospel Mission for a long time. Others of you, well, maybe this is the first time you've connected with us. To each of you, I say welcome, you're in good company, and I'm new too. Since I began my new role in January, I've been asked many questions, especially those around how the mission has responded to the pandemic and how we have been able to care for those who came to us in need. I recorded answers to some of those questions. I invite you now to watch and listen to that conversation. When the mission found itself in need of a new CEO last June, I was hired as an interim CEO while they searched for the permanent replacement. My time here was supposed to be temporary. I was planning on moving on to the next interim CEO assignment. As the months went by, I found myself becoming a part of the day in and day out work that is done here. And that work was slowly becoming a part of me. At the end of a robust CEO candidate search, I can say humbly that I was the one chosen by the board of directors. I'm honored to step into this opportunity, equipped with a lifetime of acquiring operational skills and opening my heart to those in need. It was a fit for which God had been years forming me. I feel like I was called.
After a year of a pandemic and being distanced from family and friends, we're all looking for a bit of good company. I know my own family is looking forward to us all getting together. I never thought I'd hear my husband saying he's looking forward to seeing all of my family again. As I reflect on the past year at Union Gospel Mission, I can say that we've continued to be good company for the homeless, the abused, the addicted, the tired, the weary, who have needed our services. The last year actually gave us an opportunity to lean into what we do best, offer radical hospitality. More than ever, we were able to actively live out our instructions in Romans 12:13. Share with the Lord's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. Radical hospitality here at the mission means we never shut our doors. We made sure that we had room for one more guest at our table, albeit 6 feet apart. We ensured we had one more dorm room with a bed and a blanket, again, spaced out to be socially distanced. And when Ramsey County's medical shelters for homeless people were filled, we even moved out our chaplains and staff out of their offices so we could convert their administrative spaces into a COVID quarantine ward. We not only created dorms for 20 men who had tested positive for COVID, we found ourselves donning personal protective gear to deliver meals to our residents. This past year, we found ourselves building upon our almost 120 years of dedication to the homeless, hungry, and hurting by innovating ways to solve new problems and serve differently. As restaurants and transportations closed, our doors remained open to anyone who needed a hot meal, a warm bed, and hope. In this case, we weren't just good company, we were also a good host. That's radical hospitality. You know, when COVID first struck us a year ago and the governor said, stay home, that's right when Director of Christ Recovery Center, Chris Surig, was a little bit nervous, but he knew he needed to welcome a new resident, Gary. Chris was nervous because how would I keep Gary safe? Gary came to us broken, Gary came addicted, and Gary came in need of good company. Now, 1 year later, Gary has found a new life in Christ. He is sober, he has completed his training and job readiness skills. He is equipped for full-time employment and preparing to move beyond Union Gospel Mission. It was also a time of innovation for us at Union Gospel Mission. The pandemic not only highlighted who we are, but also who Union Gospel Mission needed to become at this time in this moment. When the St. Paul Public Schools closed their doors, we suddenly opened a remote classroom in our basement to support the school-age kids' distance learning. We wrapped our arms around the school-age kids like Simon, Olivia, Nicholas, so that our moms could continue their programs without disruption. This support mattered. Our devoted and talented staff implemented thoughtful and effective distant learning techniques that resulted in decreased behavioral issues in more than half of the program's children, allowing them to thrive academically. While we were locked down, our kids' minds opened up. Through the pandemic, Union Gospel Mission, we reinvented, we regrouped, we reinvented again. Through all of this, we only became more of who we are, the last hope for so many people, for our residents, and for our guests. We are truly amazed at what God has done in this past year. We could not have done it without you. Thank you. I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening we have planned for you. You'll hear next from Chuck Semrow, our Vice President of Development and Marketing Communications. Enjoy the evening.
Good evening. My name is Chuck Semrow. I'm the Vice President of Development, Marketing, and Communications at Union Gospel Mission Twin Cities. Thank you for joining us for our second entirely virtual gala, Good Company. We are grateful that Ross King, our featured musical artist tonight, graciously allowed us to use as our theme his song of the same name, Good Company. The song is so fitting because it describes perfectly what desperate men, women, and children are seeking when they turn to us for help out of options. After all, you don't come into the mission on a winning streak, especially this past year. 1 year ago at this time, as COVID was engulfing our community with significant civil unrest soon to follow, we were faced with a stark reality at the mission. People were being directed to observe stay-at-home orders. But you can't observe a stay-at-home order if you have no home. The pandemic has been a scary, horrible thing. From pervasive fear we have all felt at times, to tragic loss of life, to increases in homelessness and expanding tent cities. Even though we were challenged by this public health threat, because we're covered in Christ and have been supported with such kindness by the community, we were able to pivot and respond safely during the pandemic and, in so many ways, actually thrive. Our family of volunteers and benefactors, individuals, churches, business owners, family and community foundations, have given generously of their time and talents and money, and their efforts, your efforts, have made a powerful, enduring difference in the lives of our residents and guests. You and the impact you made helping us change lives is what we're here to celebrate tonight. One gentleman who would characterize himself as an unlikely graduate of our adult education program, Charles, in the middle of all this, he bought a home. Charles is the homeowner for the very first time. Or Patrice and Brian, who were married under a tent in our parking lot in August. Not long after getting married, they completed our program and have since moved into their own permanent housing with their 4 children, a family fully restored. Our baptisms were down this year because of COVID, but we were still able to safely baptize 20 people in a hotel pool in Woodbury during the height of the pandemic. Baptismal fonts in church buildings were unavailable, and it certainly wasn't the River Jordan, but we're confident Jesus was grinning ear to ear and agrees a hotel pool will do in a pinch or a pandemic. Our Thanksgiving food distribution was a sight to see. We saw an increase in need of over 62%. Because of COVID, to keep our volunteers and staff safe, we pivoted to an entirely drive-up process. Our longtime partner, Thrivent, whose Heart for Hunger campaign has grown significantly over the years, really stepped up this year. So did hundreds and hundreds of volunteers who rolled up their sleeves to help us pack tens of thousands of pounds of food for cars that lined up more than a mile to get a bag of groceries and a turkey that comfortably feed a family of 5. That includes 35,000 pounds of potatoes donated by our longtime supporter, Edling Farms in Clear Lake. Happily, no one reported waiting more than 30 minutes. It takes me longer to get through the grocery store on a Saturday morning. And on Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day, volunteers showed up in droves to take hot meals to shut-in seniors in 19 nearby low-income high-rises. Earlier this week, we called out for special recognition and appreciation our 2 volunteers of the year, Melissa Bargfried and Elizabeth Dunleap, who were tireless in helping us screen all staff, residents, and vendors that came through our doors. Since last March, we have conducted more than 110,000 screenings, which wouldn't have been possible without volunteers like Melissa and Elizabeth. Earlier this week, we also recognized Salem Covenant Church in New Brighton as our church partner of the year for their dedication and service in living out the gospel in our community. It was nearly impossible to make decisions about who to recognize because there have been so many of you stepping forward in partnership with us all year. Eaglebrook Church has been a wonderful partner. Woodbury Lutheran stepped forward in amazing faith. Shepherd of the Valley, Woodbury Baptist, Woodland Hills, St. Andrew's Lutheran Church in Matamidi, Bethlehem Baptist, Calvary Baptist, River Valley Church, Speak the Word Church, our Mennonite brothers and sisters who drive in from Wisconsin once a month, different Bible study groups, student groups from North Central University, Bethel University, the University of Northwestern, to name just a few groups who served as the hands and feet of Jesus in their own backyard. We don't know what the next year holds, but we know that with your help, all things are possible through God. You were his hands and feet this past year, and we want to express our eternal appreciation to you. Thank you. If you have ever volunteered with us and want to do mission work in your own backyard, come on by. We'd love to put your talents and energy to work ministering to the lost, the brokenhearted, the crushed in spirit, whom we serve every day. And it's easy to sign up through our website, which you see on the screen. There's an energy here at the mission, a glow. If you haven't already, we would love for you to experience it. And if you have worked alongside us or donated goods or money or professional services, you have made the glow even brighter. As Jesus himself said, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house." To all our volunteers, donors, staff, residents, and guests that hung in there to see the miracle of transformation happen, you have been a warm, comforting, powerful light during a tough year. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ross King. This is my friend Ben, and tonight we're going to be playing some songs for you. Super excited to get going doing that. But first, I just wanted to take a second to acknowledge what's happening in your city, in your area, in the Twin Cities. I can't imagine how much tension and stress that a lot of people are feeling. What a crazy year you've had. And when this kind of stuff happens in my life or in my family or in my community, you know, the temptation is to look for bad guys or to look for someone to blame or to look for what's wrong with the world. You know, and all those things are fine. But what I try to do in this time and what I want to challenge us to do tonight is to look inward, and not because I want to find fault in myself, but because I want to ask the Lord what I can be doing and what He wants to show me about what He sees. You know, what does He see in me? What does He see in the world? Am I having the same eyes for others that He has? Am I having the same eyes for the world that He has? And I want to. That's what I want. I want to look at the world and see that people are made in His image, all of them. And I want to find the right way to engage those people with His heart and with His eyes and with His ministry. And the thing about looking inward is you're often, if you're honest with yourself, you're reminded of your own inadequacies and flaws and struggles and weaknesses and fears and all that stuff. But if you're a Jesus follower, if you're a believer in Christ, you realize, okay, that's all true, and somehow the Lord wraps me up in His goodness and kindness and grace and mercy and love. And if that's been given to me and I'm undeserving, then what else can I do except give that to the rest of the world? And so tonight, as we do this, as we sing songs and I share with you some of my stories and those kind of things, what I'd like to do is just say, hey, look inward so that you can be reminded how good God is to you and to me, and then overflow, that can overflow out into the way I deal with the world, right? In spite of what's crazy and scary and broken out there. I think that we are sometimes tempted to lie to each other about how bad things are, how hard things are, and that doesn't help us. It's good to be honest about, okay, things are crazy out there, things are hard, but the Lord is bigger and stronger and better, and He has a way that He is making through all of that by His power. So that's what we want to do tonight. So I'm going to sing a bunch of songs for you that I've written, and Ben and I are going to play, and hopefully it'll be a good time. One of the things that I want to play for you tonight is a song called Golden. I wrote this song because I've been fascinated by the story of Job, and man, what a difficult time that guy had. And I think one of the things that's cool about the story of Job is that it reminds us that a lot of times our story should be told from the very beginning, not only told whenever it gets good. Like I think a lot of Christians want to only share their story whenever they're done with it. You know, it's like, hey, I used to have all these problems and now I don't. That's why I'm up on this stage telling you these things, right? But your story and my story they don't start after we got everything worked out. Our story starts right at the beginning. And so I wanted to write a song that said, I believe the Lord's doing something, you know, and I trust Him, but man, it's hard right now. And this comes from this passage in Job where he says, you know, I'm looking for God. I looked for Him in the north and in the south and the east and the west, and wherever I go, I can't find Him. But I believe He knows the path I take, and He's making me gold. So this song is called Golden. I think it's too soon to write this. I'm still in the grip of the crisis. If this is part of making me righteous, I might just need a little courage to fight this. Honestly, I feel a little bit like Job, though I know he had it worse than me. Facing opposition everywhere I go, like somebody's cursing me. But I refuse to listen to all the voices in my head, but instead I keep praying the words that Job said. I go to the east, I go to the west, and still I'm not finding you. In the north and the south, I'm chasing you down, and somebody's hiding you. I know you know the way I go, and you won't leave me broken. Through it all, you're wasted. Sometimes grace can be a little abrasive, but if I embrace it, it'll sharpen up my dull places. I'm trying not to focus on how cruel the universe can be. I'm looking for a reason to believe I'm wrong, that somebody's cursing me. And I'm afraid I lack the faith for the road ahead. I try to follow you, but I don't know where you went. I go to the east, I go to the west, and still I'm not finding you. In the north and the south, I'm chasing you down like somebody's hiding you. But I know you know the way I go, and you won't leave me broken. Through it all, you're making me golden. And it hurts so bad when it all comes crashing down, and we start from scratch, see what we can live without. In the end, I know it'll all be gold, and while I wait for that, I don't look back. I go to the east, I go to the west, and still I'm not finding you. In the north and the south, I'm chasing you down like somebody's hiding you. I know you know the way I go, and you won't leave me broken. Through it all, you're making me golden. Through it all, you're making me golden. I'm gonna imagine that you're clapping wildly because I can't hear you, but it helps my ego to think that you're going crazy right now for what I just did. One thing that I'll spend some time talking about tonight is that I had this season of depression in my life where so the shortest version I can tell you is that several years ago, about 9 years ago, my dad passed away in an accident. He drowned when he was fishing down at the coast in Texas, where I used to live, and it happened. Obviously that was a shock to our family, and I had never had any kind of emotional health issues that I knew about necessarily. After he passed away, I think just the shock of the way that it changed my life. My wife would say that there was a season where I was not just grieving my dad, but I was grieving the death of the life that I wanted, right? And I think that sometimes we can have situations where something bad or something just big happens, and suddenly the life we thought we would have is no longer possible. And that can be any number of reasons why that can happen. But our life will change trajectory, and we will suddenly have to adjust. And so we're not just grieving whatever that thing is, that difficult thing, a job loss, or we lose a person in our life, or a marriage falls apart, or something. We're not just grieving that, we're also grieving the end of the life we wanted. And that happened, and I think that sort of triggered and pushed me into a season of depression. And so I ended up writing a lot of songs about that, because I realized that a lot of times Christians have a hard time talking about this kind of stuff. So one of the songs that I wrote is a song I'm about to play for you now. I really wanted to use all the words that we use when we talk about depression, because I think I had wanted to talk about it, but I felt like I should be cryptic or secretive. Like if I say I'm depressed, people think I'm not spiritual. Or if I say I go to counseling, people think I'm not really a Christian. Some Christians think this. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, the church isn't always that good at talking about this. And one thing I love about the Union Gospel Mission is that they deal with these problems head on, and they don't worry about speaking honest things, and so that I needed that in my life. And at the time, I was really interested in Psalm 23. Which, if you're a churchgoer, you've heard that psalm a lot of times in your life. But one thing about that psalm that had struck me was there's this place where it says, "He makes me lie down." This is the Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. And it says right after that, he says, he makes me lie down in a green pasture. And I always wondered why it said he makes me. That sounded kind of mean. And so at some point it struck me that I think he makes me because I wouldn't do it if he didn't make me, right? I have to be made to lie down. So he does it. And that's kind of the spirit of the whole verse, of the whole section of Scripture. He makes me lie down, then he leads me by a quiet stream. And he says, do you hear that sound of the stream? That's what peace sounds like. I can give you peace if you'll let me. And then he takes me into a valley of the shadow of death, which sounds really scary and difficult. And the only reason why I'm comforted, it says, is that he holds a rod in his hand that he can use to protect me. And maybe it's the same rod he used to make me lie down. So I know what it feels like just when it's gently used, and if he goes crazy with it, I know he can protect me. And then he takes me to some place where he wants to serve a meal for me, and he says it makes a meal for me in front of everyone that hates me, everyone that's out to get me, and he's just pouring drinks and feeding me. And that's the kind of goodness and mercy that follows me the rest of my life, right? So that I want to talk about depression, and I was also just dealing with this idea that the Lord had this fierce and intense and deliberate plan to make my life better by protecting me and by making me lie down and by blessing me. And so I hope you can receive that tonight, because I'm trying to receive that. This is called Things That I'm Afraid Of. I am shaking, and my heart's pounding. You always take me, make me lie down in peaceful fields where I can clear my head. 'Cause I get so overcome with anxiety, like there's an enemy living inside of me, like a mocker yelling out, telling lies to me. And I don't feel brave, but I don't have to be, 'cause I walk through the valley of shadows, and it scared me half to death. But you're with me everywhere I go, so I don't give up yet. My fear would surely kill me if I didn't know the truth. The things that I'm afraid of are afraid of you. My emotions turn against me, not fate nor reason could convince me that you have patience left to fight for me. My depression is affecting every ounce of me. I can get the medication and the counseling, still I can hear the fear calling out to me. And I don't feel brave, but I don't have to be, 'cause I walk through the valley of shadows, and it scared me half to death. But you're with me everywhere I go, so I don't give up yet. My fear would surely kill me if I didn't know the truth. Things that I'm afraid of are afraid of you. You prepare a table for me right in front of my worst enemies. You're as calm and relaxed as can be. There's no place where the demons won't find me, but just wait till they see who's standing behind me. I walked through the valley of shadows, and it scared me half to death. But you're with me everywhere I go, so I don't give up yet. My fear would surely kill me if I didn't know the truth. The things that I'm afraid of are afraid of you. Oh, I walked through the valley of shadows, and it scared me half to death. But you're with me everywhere I go, so I don't give up yet. My fear would surely kill me if I didn't know the truth. The things that I'm afraid of are afraid of you. The things that I'm afraid of are afraid of you. So I've been a worship leader for a long time. In addition to this, I lead worship for churches and stuff. And I've been having the privilege of doing things on big stages with several thousand people. I've had the privilege of doing things in small rooms where there's 15 people, and everything in between. And I'm always honored to get to do it. But one of the songs that I wrote several years ago about worship was I was watching. This was like 20 years ago, so things have changed a lot. But at the time, worship was like kind of getting cool. Like when I was growing up, worship wasn't really cool. And now, if you go to like a big church somewhere, worship is like a lot of cool people on stage. And I'm not saying this to be funny, like there's something wrong with that, right? But there'll be like cool people on stage, and it's all very produced, and it looks really great, and sounds really great, and nothing wrong with that. But it wasn't like that when I was a kid, like growing up. And so 20 years ago, I'm working on, I'm leading worship, and I'm noticing that things are getting like that. And again, not that that's a bad thing. I just noticed, this is kind of gone from, when I was a little kid at youth camp, is like a person with like a perm, like a guy with a perm in the back, and like be a silky vest or something, And I'm not saying that's not cool, but at the time we didn't think it was very cool. And then things were starting to change, right? So I just started thinking, well, we keep saying worship, and we really just mean music. And we say things like, how was the worship? And we mean, how was the music? And that's not really exactly what the word means. And so I just started thinking, I wonder if we should rethink, some of these things. I wonder if we should have a different view of worship than just how cool is the music, because maybe we're missing something. And that got me thinking about idolatry. And I'm one of those guys who kind of goes down the rabbit hole and can't stop till I've kind of uncovered all the rocks, And so, for better or for worse. So this song was kind of the result of that search. To see, what is true worship? This is called Clear the Stage. Clear the stage and set the sound and lights ablaze. If that's the measure you must take to crush the idols. Jerk the pews and all the decorations too, until the congregation's few, then have revival. Tell your friends that this is where the party ends, until you're broken for your sins. You can't be social. And seek the Lord and wait for what He has in store, and know that great is your reward. So just be hopeful, 'cause you can sing all you want to. Yes, you can sing all you want to. You can sing all you want to, still get it wrong. Worship is more than a song. Take a break from all the plans that you have made. Sit at home alone and wait for God to whisper. Beg Him please to open up His mouth and speak, and pray for real upon your knees until they blister. Shine the light on every corner of your life until the pride and lust and lies are in the open. The word and put to test the things you've heard, until your heart and soul are stirred and rocked and broken. 'Cause you can sing all you want to. Yes, you can sing all you want to. You can sing all you want to and still get it wrong. Worship is more than a song. Anything I put before my God is an idol. And anything I want with all my heart is an idol. And anything I can't stop thinking of is an idol. And anything that I give all my love is an idol. And we must not worship something that's not even worth it. make some space for the one who deserves it. 'Cause I can sing all I want to. Yes, I can sing all I want to. I can sing all I want to and still get it wrong. Worship is more than a song. Worship is more than a song. Clear the stage and set the sound and lights ablaze. If that's the measure you must take to crush the idols. A few years ago, when I first started, kind of in that season of depression, I was trying to find ways to sing about it, and like I told you, I sang that other song earlier that was kind of the culmination of that, but I was trying to find ways to talk about what I was feeling, and a lot of it was that I had a lot of shame. Let me just give you a tiny piece of advice that you don't have to take, but one of the worst questions you can ask yourself or someone in your life who is struggling is this: why aren't you better? And I would stare at myself in the mirror and think, I'm still depressed and everyone's tired of me and I'm not being a very good father or husband. And I would say, why aren't you better? I would say that to myself. And I would think everyone else, because everyone around me is quietly asking, why isn't Ross better? Why isn't he over this? Because, it went on for like 4 or 5 years off and on. And I just kept thinking like, this is not good. And so I would feel this deep shame that I couldn't get better. And look, shame is bad stuff. It's powerful stuff. And so anyway, I do this thing occasionally where I'll be writing songs, like lyrics to songs, but I won't know what they're going to be yet. And so I'll just have lyrics kind of like sitting in spots on my computer, like maybe on my desktop or, certain screens, just so I can kind of bump into them every few days and think, is there anything new I have to say about this, And so I had these lyrics about these two people in the Bible that I wasn't even really sure why I was drawn to these two people, but it was the story of Zacchaeus, this guy who we sing mean songs about because he's short, and we make fun of him, but it's Zacchaeus, and there's this little lyric about how Zacchaeus wanted to see Jesus, and just thought maybe I just want to see him, maybe he'll make my life better if I see him, And then there was this story in Mark chapter 5 of this woman who had a bleeding problem. She couldn't stop bleeding internally, and Jesus was in the middle of a really big day. He was on the way to go bring a girl back to life, which was, it's a pretty big day there. And he's walking through a crowd, and this woman sneaks up behind him and touches his clothes. And he notices some power leaves him, which is a super cool science fiction-y kind of thing. And he goes and finds her, and she's healed. And I was in the midst of all this shame, and I couldn't shake it. And I remember looking at those lyrics and thinking, oh, those two people, I bet they felt shame. Zacchaeus knew he was kind of rotten, and he knew he was cheating people. And so he got up in a tree and thought, Jesus will walk by, maybe something cool will happen. Maybe I can glean something from him. But what does Jesus do? He notices Zacchaeus, says, okay, I see you. I'm going to come to your house and eat a meal, which is incredibly confrontational and strange, and probably not at all what Zacchaeus was looking for, right? A personal engagement. And this woman, same thing. She was ashamed, and she wanted to sneak up behind him and grab his clothes and run away. And here's the thing. That's how we engage shame. We want to sneak up, touch something, get some power, and run off. We want to get up in a tree, and hopefully something good will walk by, and it'll change us, and then we'll be better and can go about our way. But Jesus is different. He looks at you, he sees you, and he's like, I want to come to your house and have a meal. I want to heal you. I want to affirm that you did a good thing touching my clothes, right? So I just want to invite you today, if you're feeling some shame, we all feel some shame, to realize that the Lord wants to break that shame. He wants to come in and heal it and engage you. He's not saying, why aren't you better? He's coming to find you where you are, how you are, and make you better. This is called Love is a Hammer. There's something heavy. I've been dragging it around behind me. With every labored step and movement, it reminds me that I cannot escape, and I want to give up. Give in, pretend this cell I'm in is freedom. Oh, keep my head down, don't give you a reason to look my way. 'Cause I'm too ashamed to meet your eyes, to speak your name. I'm scared that I'll be held in chains, bound in lies forever. And I long to hear a sound like something metal being shattered. Oh, shame is a chain, love is a hammer. Some days I want to find you in a crowd and sneak up right behind you. Maybe touch your clothes and steal some power from you and sneak away again. Some days I'd rather hide out in a tree that you are walking under. Oh, and pray that you don't say you're coming over, 'cause I don't want to let you in. Oh, but you don't wait to be invited. You're kicking down my door with violent mercy and completely taking over. And I swear I hear a sound like something metal being shattered. Oh, shame is a chain, love is a hammer. And I've worn them for so long that they feel natural. And the truth is I'm afraid. But if anyone can understand, it's you. 'Cause on your feet and hands the proof of what you did and how you suffered. When the nails went in, the sound of sin forever being shattered. Oh, shame is a chain, love is a hammer. Oh, shame is a chain, love is a hammer. Oh, oh, I'll turn the corner a little bit and lighten us up a bit, because I've been pretty heavy. But this song story kind of starts where all that sort of is. I'm an introvert, and so and combine that with some of my struggles with the other stuff, and I'm just not that good when I've been around people too much. You know, like I made a joke earlier about the applause, but I actually love this, being in a room with just one other person and playing songs and assuming that people are out there. I'd love to meet you all, but I'm okay that we're not in the same room, you know, because I just run out of energy sometimes for people, and I'm not the best version of myself. So anyway, we had some friends visiting us from out of town, my family and I, and we're a big family. We have 4 children. My wife and I have 4 children, so there's 6 of us, and this family has 4 children, so there's 6 of them, and they're all really tall people. So I know that sounds like a strange thing to bring up, but when you're an introvert, you're kind of like space is a big deal. So they're all tall and they're kind of in my space. And we love these people. They're good friends of ours, but they've been in town for a few days. I always think they were there for like 2 weeks. My wife says it was 3 or 4 days, but it felt like a long time to me. And I love them, right? So it wasn't a bad thing. But we went to the zoo, and I was kind of getting over-peopled, sort of. And my wife, who loves me and gets me, she comes to me at some point in the day, and she says, hey, you're doing that thing that you do when you get too much people time, and you're kind of not being nice to our friends. I know you don't know it, but I just want to warn you this is happening. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't know I was doing this, So she says, whatever you got to do, just go in your head, write a song, whatever you got to do. Because she knows I can kind of, retreat into myself, and that'll help. She's like, just go inside your head but be friendly. We got to get through this, you love these people. So like, okay, yes. So immediately I look over, we're in the aquarium, and I look over, there's some seahorses in the aquarium. And I start thinking, seahorses, that's an interesting animal. They look like horses, but they're fish. So they have to feel uncomfortable at stuff, because I don't know if fish know about horses. I assume they know about horses, but they see these fish and they're like, you look like a horse, and it's awkward. So I thought I'll just write a song about seahorses, and that's how I'll get through this day. So I spent the whole day just walking around the zoo, kind of bobbing my head, working on rhymes for the word seahorses. So the result is this, and it's the least spiritual thing that I'll do all night long, but I wanted to give you a break from all that heaviness, and also invite you into knowing kind of how in progress I am, that I have to write songs at the zoo to get through times with people I really love. This is called Seahorses. Seahorses, 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 my favorite equine fish. I'd spend all my resources to hang out with seahorses. I'd wish for seahorses if I had one wish. I've taken all kinds of courses studying seahorses, and all my sources agree they are the best, and that just reinforces my opinion on seahorses, which is they deserve respect and nothing less. Ooh, I mean seriously, have you seen their tiny curly tails? They are so cute. Forces, there'd be no more wars, 'cause we'd all get along. Yeah, there's a sense of deep catharsis when riding on seahorses, and if you agree, then whistle this song. And I can't whistle very well, but I'm gonna whistle for you here. Yeah, it's bad, I know, but it's part of the song, and I don't have a whistler here. I don't know if Ben can whistle. Anyway, I'll move on. Ooh, I mean, just imagine how a sport like water polo could be improved with giant seahorses. This song endorses my favorite kind of horses. Maybe yours is the kind that walks on land. So if you love to see horses run in fields and through forests, well, you can write your own songs about them. If you like horses that breathe regular oxygen and can barely even swim. But the topic of my song, of course, is those fish that look like ponies. Normally there's a big wave of laughter after that. I'm going to imagine that there was. So we have, my wife and I have 4 adopted children, and they are kind of very, all sort of different in their ethnicity and background, and and color of their skin and the whole deal. We didn't do that for any reason other than we that was the only way we could get kids, and we were like we'd like kids no matter what they look like or where they're from or any of that. So God gave us these 4 great kids. But because my sons particularly are biracial teenagers in America in 2021, I'm working through a lot, and so a lot of what's happening in the Twin Cities is pretty is in our home in terms of like we're keeping up with the way the country's going. And look, this stuff for some reason now is really political, and I don't know exactly why. I think that's just a plan of the enemy to make us all to distract us from what's real, which is that God made us all in the image of God, in His image, and He wants us to see each other with as much love. The scriptures, what's the most important thing, right? Love God with all that you have, basically, and the second one's like that command, love your neighbor as much as you love yourself. So that's what I'm supposed to do, whatever, and then someone says, who's your neighbor? And Jesus gives this complicated story about someone that they wouldn't have thought would be their neighbor. And the Lord's trying to do that in our lives. He wants to reintroduce us to what it is to have a neighbor and to love each other. That's what He's trying to do, is to teach us to love each other. And for me, that has required a lot of like soul searching, because I grew up in a very specific way, in a very specific time, and I don't know that I understood a lot of these things. And now that I have people in my home that are asking hard questions, I'm trying to find answers to those questions. So all that to say, I spent a lot of my life thinking I was some kind of underdog and was going to beat the system or whatever. And that's not entirely untrue. But I'm always kind of the hero in all my stories, And so I started working on this song several years ago, and it's called All My Heroes Are Underdogs, and it was all just about different people in history or in whatever that were underdogs, and how I felt like them. And then 2020 happened, and a lot of things, Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Tatiana Jefferson and all these different people, African Americans whose lives were taken. And I just started thinking about that history of our country. And so I went back to the song and started rethinking my place in a lot of those stories, and decided to write another verse about what happened in Selma, Alabama in 1965. And I won't go through too much of that, but there were some marches that you've probably heard about, and they were just marches to try to get rights for African Americans in the United States. And one of those marches ended in a bunch of violence against a bunch of peaceful people who just wanted the right to vote. And then the final march, there were 3 of them. So there was like kind of 2 and a half. But the final one, Dr. Martin Luther King was there. He couldn't come to the first one, and he was there. And when they finally made their march across the bridge and walked all the way to Montgomery, he gave a really important speech that's called the How Long Not Long speech. And anyway, all that stuff kind of came together for this song. I wanted to sing about underdogs and just kind of speak honestly about my place in that story. And so I challenge you tonight here. I don't want to be political, but I challenge you tonight to think about this. Because I'm thinking about this. Are you ever asking, am I ever asking if I've ever been a villain and not a hero? If I've ever been the reason why someone else can't win? Have I ever been part of the problem and not part of the solution? And I'm not saying that to make anybody feel guilty as much as the scripture is clear. There's tons of scripture about this. Psalm 139, search me, O God, know my heart, test me, know my thoughts. It says that because we don't know our own heart, so you ask God to search your heart, right? The Bible's full of this stuff. We don't really know. So we're asking God to go in, to go down deep into our soul. David does this in the Psalms a lot. He'll say, why are you so downcast, O my soul, right? We search our own soul to see what's true about us, and we ask God to show us the truth. That Psalm 139 ends with, see if there's anything wicked in me and lead me in the everlasting way. I want to go the everlasting way, but it might require that God digs down deep and searches my heart. So this is called All My Heroes Are Underdogs. He gathered 5 smooth stones. He'd only need one. No one violence that he done. And he had no right getting in that fight. Surprise, surprise, hit him right between the eyes. All my favorite stories have moments when everything seems to be lost. All my heroes are underdogs. He gathered 12 unknowns, one of them a traitor, with no armor on. He spoke the truth to power. They hung him high on a hill and watched him die. But the blood they spilled started something that could not be killed. All my favorite stories have moments when everything seems to be lost. All my heroes are underdogs. Trying to believe in a world where the wounded can rise when they fall. All my heroes are underdogs. I spent my life believing I was more like David than Goliath. But looking back, the odds were usually for me. I see a struggler fight to live. I never stop to wonder if I've ever been a villain in that story. They gathered arm in arm to try to change a country with no armor on. They headed for Montgomery, and they faced those thugs, cowards swinging fists and clubs. But they came back strong, crying out, how long, not long, how long, not long. All my favorite stories make me feel with the ways I've been wrong. All my heroes are underdogs. All my favorite stories have moments when everything seems to be lost. All my heroes are underdogs. Yeah, I'm just trying to believe in a world where the wounded can rise when they fall. All my heroes are underdogs. They're underdogs. I got about 3 more, so hopefully you guys are sticking around. I'm grateful. So I kind of did a big pile of songs about my struggles with depression and anxiety, so I won't talk too much about that except to say sort of the last thing I wrote about it, because I feel a lot better now. I feel like I'm at least for now, I feel really, really healthy, and I'm grateful for that, and I don't know if that's the way it'll always be, but I feel strong and emotionally in a good place. And so the last things that I wrote was kind of a encouragement to people like me as we were working through it, to say, look, hard things shouldn't be a shock to us. Hard things are going to come, and I don't wish it on anybody. But here's the thing: we're not built. We weren't remade in the image of God. Like we weren't made in the image of God and then remade into the likeness of Christ to just go through soft, easy things. The Lord gave us that power. Scripture says the same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead is in me. Peter says, His divine power gives us all we need to be alive and to be godly. We were made to go through hard stuff. Like, we can handle it. It's difficult, but we were made for it. So I wanted to to sing about that. So this is called Walk in the Valley. Maybe I should say thank you to all the difficulty I've ever been through, 'cause I know you're slowly driving me into a deeper grace, where my pride is erased and replaced by a faith that is forged by the hammer and the fire of the Lord, to be sturdy as a shield and sharp as a sword. And he gave me something stronger than whatever's on a mission to break me. I was made to walk in the valley, to stand in the storm. There's a peace deep inside me that can outlast any war. I face the dark and the danger, it can't scare me anymore, 'cause I was made to walk in the valley. I was built to stand in the storm. Set the liberate mindset, I gotta fight to find the light that's inside. When I'm in the valley where the sun never rises, and I'll never survive this if I focus on the darkness and how heavy the night is. 'Cause there's a power nothing ever defeats. I gotta fortify and deathify a spirit in me, so when the whole world's shaking, I'm steady. Whatever comes, I'm ready. I was made to walk in the valley. I was built to stand in the storm. With the deep, deep inside me that can outlast any war. I face the dark and the danger, it can't scare me anymore, 'cause I was made to walk in the valley. I was built to stand in the storm. Whatever this road may lead through trouble and suffering, I know that you'll walk with me. So I keep walking, wherever this road may lead through trouble and suffering. I know that you'll walk with me. So I keep walking. I was made to walk in the valley. I was built to stand in the storm. There's a peace deep inside me that can outlast any war. I face the dark and the danger, can't scare me anymore, 'cause I was made to walk in the valley. I was built to stand in the storm. I was made to walk in the valley. I was built to stand in the storm. There's a peace deep inside me that can outlast any war. I face the dark and the danger, it can't scare me anymore, 'cause I was made to walk in the valley. I was built to stand in the storm. I was made to walk in the valley. I was built to stand in the storm. We just had Easter, and one of the things that's interesting about Easter is people, depending on what faith tradition that you're from, some people like celebrate the whole week, and then you have Good Friday, where this bad thing happens, and we call it good because it's when our sins were paid for, but it's this difficult thing happens, and in the church calendar we sort of mourn that day, and then Saturday is this kind of day of silence, as you're imagining that people were waiting, or they didn't know they were waiting, but they thought Jesus was gone. They thought it was over. They thought the whole thing was done. And so, and then Sunday comes, right? And I don't know. Every Easter I think about this, that like they didn't know he was coming back. They just thought it was over. They thought the whole thing was done. They thought it was, we dreamed of this great thing that was going to happen and it didn't work. That God had a plan and its plan failed. That's what they thought, And I just think that's a really important thing for us to get, because I feel all the time like something has happened that I kind of wanted. I wanted one thing and it crashed. It didn't work, and now I'm thinking, oh, it's over. The plan God had, the plan I had, the plan I wanted. It's not working. It's like that thing I said about the life we wish we had or whatever, right? And I want to be a person who goes through my Fridays and Saturdays as if there's a Sunday on the way. I just want to be that person. I just want to believe the Lord is always raising me up and raising up things that seem dead, right? And look, if we don't believe that is possible, then I don't know why we were doing Christian life, right? We have to believe that the stuff that seems like it's dying and dead and over and hopeless, we have to believe that stuff is going to resurrect. and become new and good and right, and that God's not finished. We have to believe that. And so tonight, as we're doing this, we're almost done here, but I want to tell you that, and I'm not saying this because I'm like so good at this or because I just believe it so well. I'm saying this hoping that we can all believe it to be true, right? That the Lord is on his way. Something in your life that needs the Lord, and he's on his way. Something in your life that feels dead, he is the very whispers of new life are rising up. And that's a crazy idea. Don't give up. God hasn't quit on you. Don't quit on him. He is on his way. This is called, appropriately, This Ain't Over. And I hope tonight that whatever you're working through, it's not over. There was a plan to do us harm. By all accounts, it was successful. It worked just like a charm, and now we're bruised and barely breathing, struggling to just believe, and maybe even wondering if it's over. But here's the thing, there's something more, something nobody was expecting, they'd never seen before. So keep your eyes on the horizon, it's coming like a storm. Now you've been warned, yeah, you've been warned. This ain't over, not by a long shot. We are not even close to being done. This ain't over, we won't give up without a fight. We will not run. This ain't over, and when it's over, we will overcome. There was a plan to save us all. By all accounts, it was a failure, and everybody saw that Jesus died, and we were humiliated, and evil celebrated, and we were afraid that it was over. Here's the thing, he rose again, and he looked death in the eye and said, you're done, you'll never win. So we don't worry about the story, cause we know how this thing ends. And while we're waiting, we keep on saying, this ain't over, not by a long shot. We are not even close to being done. This ain't over, we won't give up without a fight. We will not run, cause this ain't over, and when it's over, we will overcome. Between Friday and Sunday, there is one day that feels like 1,000 years. And we grieve because we have lost it all, and believe for the impossible, and we try not to fear. And when we listen close, we can almost hear, this ain't over, no, not by a long shot. This ain't over, not by a long shot. We are not even close to being done. This ain't over, we won't give up without a fight. We will not run, 'cause this ain't over, and when it's over, we will overcome. We will overcome. Hey, I'm really grateful for you guys. I'm gonna do one more song, and this is the theme of the week, and I'm honored that they chose a song I wrote to be a theme of their week. So the real quick story on this was, again, this was in the midst of me having all those struggles, And but at the same time, I'm realizing not everybody is okay. Other people are having struggles. It's not just about me. I'm not the only one who's having a hard time. And I tell people that one of the best ways to help us when we're down is to be reminded that other people are down too, and that they need us. That they need help. To be reminded there's a bigger story out there than just mine. So anyway, I was seeing this. I had this friend. He was in his early 30s. He has a few young kids and a young wife, and he got leukemia, and he just started dying. And this guy, prime of his life, right? And so I'm trying to figure that out, and I'm just watching his wife grieve, and I'm thinking about my own struggles and emotions I'm dealing with. And just wondering how she's going to get through it and how we're all going to get through it, right? We've all got stuff that we're trying to get through. And I started looking at the Bible differently, and I started seeing these places where Jesus had these extreme emotional experiences that I hadn't noticed. I noticed the story, but I didn't notice the emotion. So you got like Lazarus, there's this good friend. Lazarus is the brother of Mary and Martha, who the Bible's full of stories about them, and how close they were to Jesus, and so Lazarus gets really sick, and the way the story goes, he gets really sick, and Mary and Martha say, Jesus is far away. Someone go tell Jesus that Lazarus is sick so he can come back and heal him. So that, I don't know where he is, but they go tell him, and it's this really weird thing that happens in that section of the scripture, but it says that Jesus loved Lazarus a lot, and so he waited. It's a really strange passage. It's kind of like makes me lie down. I saw it and was like, this is a weird thing. Why does it say that? And now I think it's because he wanted to do something big, and he waited because he wanted to do something really, really big. But anyway, he waits. He comes back, and he gets to where Mary and Martha are, and Lazarus has been dead now for a couple of days. And Martha runs out to him, and she's really mad at him, and she's like, "Where were you?" She knows he's got like powers. She's like, "You're God. You could have helped this guy. Help this brother of mine." And so Jesus says this thing to her about, your brother's going to come back from the dead, and she thinks he means someday. And so she's like, I know he's going to be raised from the dead in the end. And he's like, no, watch this. So he goes to the grave, and he's about to raise a guy up from the dead, which is the biggest thing that's ever happened in that town. It would be bigger than anything that had ever happened to us. And what does he do? He cries. Before he's going to raise Lazarus in like a minute. And he takes a moment to cry. And I can't tell you why that was, why he cried, but I think he cried because death is awful, even when it's only for a moment. And he wanted to, and he had such an in-touch, he was so close to feel the human soul that he knew death is awful, and people cry about it. And I just love how in that moment he's saying, when people come to you and say, hey, it's going to get better, don't cry, they mean well. But the Lord is saying, no, I understand that even in the moment, even when you know it's going to get better, you can still cry about it, because death is hard. So you have that experience where he cries at kind of a strange moment. You have the experience in the garden where he's so stressed out from the idea of going to the cross that he bleeds through his pores. You have the temple where he gets so angry, and he doesn't sin somehow, but he just gets so angry that he makes a whip and knocks a bunch of tables over. And I just remember seeing those passages and thinking, oh my gosh, Jesus has felt some extreme things like me. So it's not just that he's near me because he's God. He's near to me because he understands these feelings, right? So that's why I wrote the song. And I want you to know tonight that whatever thing you're going through, whatever you're feeling, the Lord understands your feelings that make you feel crazy, that make you feel off, that make you feel like you don't belong. He gets those feelings. So this is called Good Company. Oh, am I in the wrong key? I'm in the wrong key. See, we got all the way to the end without messing up. That's the right key.
Pretty good.
I did like 9 of them. Perfect. If sadness was a sin, Jesus never would have cried. But that's exactly what he did when his good friend Lazarus died. And he knew that he would raise him up. And still the Lord was sad enough to grieve. If heartache was a crime, consider Jesus in the garden when he knew it was his time and there was no better option, and he had to take that cup, and it stressed him out so much it made him bleed. you've ever been so overwhelmed that you can barely breathe, my friend, you're in good company. If anger is so wrong, how about Jesus in the temple? It doesn't sound like he was calm when he was knocking over tables. And we know his heart was perfect, so there must have been some purpose for it all. If you've ever gotten mad at all the brokenness you see, my friend, you're in good company. In the darkness, you are not alone. There is a presence that will not let you go. Every tear that you have cried, every trial you have known, he's known it too. In the darkness, you are not alone. There is a presence that will not let you go. Every tear that you have cried, every trial you have known, he's known it too. So if defending your own honor and fighting for your rights are really so important, how come Jesus gave his life to pay for our salvation? He let a bunch of fools portray him as a criminal. If you've ever been humiliated, misunderstood, ridiculed and hated, if you've ever gone through hell, faced the devil no one else could even see, my friend, you're in good company. You're in good company. In the darkness, you are not alone. There is a presence that will not let you go. Every tear that you have cried, every trial you have known, he's known it too. In the darkness, you are not alone. There is a presence that will not let you go. Every tear that you have cried, every trial you have known, he's known it too. He's known it too. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight, joining me and Ben and all the other people who've helped do this stuff. And what I want to say is this, that I hope that message that the Lord is near to you, not just because he's God, but because he gets it and understands it and has been through it and has suffered and has had difficulty just like you. I hope that message makes you feel like his nearness, his closeness is on you. And I hope that for me too. That's what I want for all of us. And I know there's been this whole week has been full of testimonies and stories and information. You've probably been kind of downloading a lot of data. But my prayer is not that you wouldn't just take this concert in and be like, everything was good and thanks, but you would get involved in this mission if you haven't. Okay, and so let me tell you just real quick where you can go. You can on the internet go to UGMTC.org. That's Union Gospel Mission TwinCities.org. So UGMTC.org, and learn all about the ministry, even more than what you've seen and heard this week. Learn all about the ways you can give and support and be a part and pray and do all of that. This is where God is doing work. This is a part of the kingdom work of Jesus on the earth right now. And I know you want to be involved in that. I want to be involved in things that matter. And I know you do too. So go do that. This mission's changing lives. Thank you. God bless you. And good night.